Hello, this is Ozone Ocean. With me is Baines and Tance. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Drunkduck Quackcast. And today we are talking about parodies. Yay, parody! So parodies are pretty cool. What is a parody? A parody is something that makes fun of something else, basically. Haha. Usually another story or comic or whatever, and it just does its own version and makes a funnier version. It can be a direct parody of the something else, or it can be a parody of a whole genre. And we're going to talk about that, but first we have to do the feature. So the feature was something Quackcast did this week. It was called Excavator. So Quai, tell us about Excavator.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Excavator by Nick, and it is rated E for everyone. Boone looks exceptionally well dressed in the white collared shirt and a black tie lovingly gifted to him by his grandmother. Excavator by profession, Boone spends his days digging for buried treasure or unearthing alien artifacts. Grandma, Booneford's favorite person to share his findings, has a mantra borrowed from Grandpa that someone's junk is someone's treasure. A restless night tossing and turning results in Boone having to travel outside of Amber's guard to meet Mr. Rhino at the most outrageous hour. The art is strikingly vivid, using a jewel-toned color palette of matcha green, corals, and aubergines to express a nighttime shift. The line work is especially clean and professionally done. Find out what happened to Mrs. Dharmta and read Excavator by Nick, rated E.
That was Quackcast with her feature, which was Excavator. So I hope you have, been excited by what she said, and we'll check that out. Excavator.
Yeah, hope you're digging
it. All right. So next up we have the featured music. Oh, this has given us theme to a comic called Occult by Lux. And this music is a heavy, distorted, fuzzy, rockin', and yet magical take on Arabian Nights, with the brutally metal reverie of chaos and beautiful oriental groove. So take it away, Gomez, with your theme inspired by Occult by Lux. And that was Occult by Lux, which is a comic by a person called Lux. Actually, the person's name is Lux Occult, so this all kind of ties in there, and it's an A-rated comic, so beware.
Triple Lux.
Sexual Lux. That reminds me, I just started watching this parody animation, which is a parody of like a ancient Greek civilization. It was what Gumwallace recommended to us ages ago. It's called Cropopolis. I finally found it.
Okay.
Hey, it's rather interesting, but it's got voices by Richard Ayoade and I don't know, various people. Really, really hilarious voices by these great actors. And there's this one character who's the father of this king character called Tyrannus, and he's like a monster slash god kind of character, and he's trying. Him and his other son are trying to work out who did a murder, and so they're collecting a dead body that's been eviscerated, and everybody all these villagers are standing around looking at it as this guy and his monstrous father picks up this dead body, and the father goes, "Oh, don't worry, it's purely sexual." Our interest is purely sexual. Because he's big, like a Greek god. So it was very, very funny to me. Anyway, what we're talking about is parodies. Some of our favourite parodies, and the whole thing about doing parodies and satires and stuff like that. Not satyrs, but satires. So parodies. Well, Mel Brooks is one of my favourite parody artists, and he's done so many things that, to contribute to the art of parodies. Just an amazing guy. From, I don't know, Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, Men in Tights, Spaceballs, all these fantastic pieces of work. And even Get Smart, which is a parody of the whole secret agent thing. Not really a James Bond character, but more like a Mission Impossible. Yeah. Exactly.
There's also Johnny English, where Rowan Atkins is playing the James Bond type.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. Is it good?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
I prefer those. I prefer those to James Bond, but that's because I don't like James Bond. But that said, it is a genuinely well constructed parody of all the tropes of super spies and stuff like that. And there is, of course, the expected Rowan Atkins. Rowan Atkins or
Rowan Atkinson.
Okay, Rowan Atkinson slapstick that you would expect, but well done. It is very well done. I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
It made me laugh. Me laugh.
What can be interesting to me is this weird crossover where parodies can become greater than the thing they're parodying to such an extent that they become the new standard of the genre in some ways. Princess Bride is a great example of that. I mean, that is a fantastic fairy tale movie, even though it's a parody of a lot of fairy tale kind of things. But it's known as, oh my God, that is one of the best fantasy movies ever. Shrek, to a lesser extent, is a very beloved fantasy movie, even though it's a parody of fairy tales. Blazing Saddles is a standout Western movie, I think, even though it's pure parody. Sorry.
Does it parody a specific movie as well as Westerns in general, as far as you know?
I don't think so.
I think it's all the tropes of spaghetti Westerns, basically.
Yeah.
All the tropes of all the westerns. But it does subvert them as well, because you have a black sheriff, which really wasn't done at the time.
Right.
So that, very much changed things. And yeah, so if a parody is really good, it kind of resets the genre, which is an amazing thing. But on the other aspect, there are genre movies that, are huge in the genre, but they parody themselves. They actively wink at the audience and parody themselves. Now, Chance, you brought up James Bond. The Roger Moore era of James Bond tended to often parody itself, like the obvious parodies. And I love those movies. A lot of people hate them, and they don't like they think he is the worst James Bond. He's my favorite James Bond because it's so self-aware.
Honestly, as a kid, I really liked him, probably because he was so cartoony. So.
And we were talking about those horror movies. What were that, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and all those films, although not films, but those series of films, in the latter part, they became so self-aware that they did start to parody, didn't they? In a way.
You could say that. We talked about Friday the 13th, Part 6, that falls into that category, like deliberately having fun with the genre. It's not a comedy, but there's a self-awareness to it. In fact, as much as I always used to love that movie, a lot of the comedy is pretty cringeworthy in that movie. But like the jokes and stuff, a lot of them are bad. But the sort of meta awareness is really great. So like a self-awareness. And he's like, I mentioned on Patreon, like at the beginning of that movie, Jason walks out like James Bond in the spotlight, the sort of little circle with the music where James Bond walks out and, turns. Jason does that in Friday 6. Really funny. And the characters I've heard of Jason, they talk about him. It's like sort of, again, I said on Patreon, like what Scream would do maybe more effectively and more sharply, like maybe 10 years later or whatever it was.
Yeah. Scream was, a self-aware take on the genre, sort of, skirting parody, and then we've got Scary Movie, which is a direct parody of Scream. So, oh my God, this is such an incestuous sort of thing, isn't it? They go around and around and around. It's bizarre.
I would also venture to say, although it is never categorized or recognized as such, that the Disney movie Hercules is actually a parody. Not necessarily a parody of the ancient Greek gods or Greece at all. I sincerely doubt they focused on that, but definitely a parody of consumerist America and flamboyant America and the show business stuff. All of that.
Yeah, it's doing like show business. So they're meant to be ancient Greeks, but they're playing Italian and Jewish stereotypes. Bizarre. It's very strange.
Yeah. I remember. It's not that it is not liked in Greece, but it was very alienating when it first hit the cinemas, in the sense that what are we watching exactly right now? Like we didn't get the treatment that Mulan did. We got a weird mix of very American stuff, wearing the skin of Greek-looking things. And I think that it is a lot more like a parody than anything else. A parody, like they are actually parodying the realities of Hollywood, perhaps, or show business, and rising star, Star is Born sort of thing. That's what it reminds me, and that's how I watch it. I also like Hades. So yeah.
It's a take on Hercules written by a moron.
Well,
It's nothing
it's a
to
take
do with
on
Hercules whatsoever.
It's a take on Hercules written by people not interested in understanding the Greek culture at all, even the modern Greek culture. Not even, you don't even need to go, no Greek culture, nothing. um,
Right.
and it just took stereotypes and worked with those. And that was a disappointment at the time. But if you look at it as a parody of Americana and American stuff. And we have a term in Greece for this, Americanes, which is when you do. Sorry to Americans, it's not a good term, but when you do things that are crass and very Hollywood, those are American stuff. That would be as close a translation as I can get. So if you take it as a parody of that, then it works extremely well.
Okay, well, that's an interesting idea of parody. So parody in that way is like science fiction, in that, I mean, science fiction is, people often think of it as, oh, this is telling the future, but science fiction never tells the future. It just looks at today's world in a different kind of setting. It's a reflection of the world in which it's produced. So 1960s science fiction is a reflection of 1960s world, not our future. And 1950s science fiction is a science fiction of the 90s. It's just 1950s in the future, and so parody is what I'm trying to say is it's based on the understanding of the people who create it, not necessarily the thing they're parodying. So that's something you have to keep in mind, I think. So especially very evident with Hercules, but I mean, even say Blazing Saddles, that's a parody of westerns, but it's Mel Brooks's version of that. So it's not just westerns; it's also a parody of the studio culture and the studios that made westerns, and you see that within it, because they're not just straight out, oh yeah, we're in the West and we're shooting up, things like that. It's like showing, okay, there's a commissary with all the actors, and and there's these people there's all the extras and stuff like that, and he's parodying every aspect of the westerns and the way they're created. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective, Tarts. It's not just a parody of the thing, but it's the understanding of the person creating it. So that's why Meet the Spartans is so shit, because they obviously didn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah, that's a different
Every time he mentions that movie, it gets a painful reaction from me.
Have you seen it?
I tried. I lasted all of 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
I watched the entire thing because I couldn't be bothered watching the actual 300. So that was my way of watching the 300 without watching the 300.
No. It has absolutely nothing to do with 300. Oh my God. It was so bad. Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, it's painfully bad. Just like kind of cultural references rather than jokes. And just like,
and it's even like the jokes are mean. They are mean jokes. They are. I don't remember them exactly because my mind is very consciously trying to completely delete this memory, and is fighting me all the way right now. But I recall that the jokes reminded me of jokes that bullies would say.
Okay.
Not a parody, like okay, let's get all the meanest 13 years with all the domestic problems that they are acting out at school, and let's see what they have to say.
Oh wow, yeah.
And the name too, that was from Meet the Fockers. That series of films, so Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents, and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder why they included that as they had that as a name. It's just very weird. Well, that comes Meet the Spartans. Again, I'm saying the name comes from the species of parody that was really Airplane was the main film in that style of parody. Where you parody a genre using, because Meet the Spartans is a parody not only of the 300, but it's a parody of epic movies. And Airplane was like the standout 1970s, and even beyond that, it's like it's an eternal kind of standout. It was like massive parody of the disaster film genre that was so huge in the 1970s.
I think I haven't seen the original, but I'm pretty sure it's also a parody. Like the story mirrors this movie called, I think it's Airport 77. I could be wrong about that.
I think so.
You're right. It was a direct parody, but it was also picked because of the disaster movie genre. But you're right.
It's both. Yeah,
I think Airplane was a lot better. Like I haven't seen it in decades at this point, but I remember that it wasn't painful to watch.
No, it's
there's a few of them, and they do get painful.
Yeah,
because
I remember there is like a teen movie or love movie or romance. I don't know. I don't remember. They have this insert genre movie, and that's the title of the part.
Yeah, not another teen movie, and there's Heroes.
Epic movie, superhero movie. Actually, Not Another Teen Movie was a little better than what I saw of those other ones.
It's good because it had good actors and stuff like that. Like Chris Evans is in it and all that. But the thing with those parodies is they're not just a story like these other ones, like Princess Bride or something like that. It's quite a clever kind of a movie. These things are shotgun joke movies. So they do parodies like Mad Magazine, which is a great reference for parodies because Mad Magazine does fantastic parodies of like movies and comics and everything. But these style of movie, Airplane and all that, like Not Another Teen Movie, all that, they are shotgun joke movies. So they do with their one main theme, which is a parody of, like 300 or that Airplane movie, and then they have parodies of all these other things just inserted in, as well as, silly jokes as you go. And they just keep going, and maybe 40% of them are funny, and the rest of them are just, oh my god, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Or they just keep going and going.
For a parody to be successful, you should be able, like the audience should be able to follow it, even if they haven't seen the original thing that is being parodied. That makes sense. So it has to be able to stand alone and not just, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like remember what you saw in that other movie. Now we're making a joke that if you haven't seen that other movie, you will not be able to understand. I think that a good parody has its own legs, and you can watch it as its own movie. Funny movie, but as its own movie.
Definitely. And
like Spaceballs.
Spaceballs is excellent. Yeah, so that mainly parodies Star Wars, but it also has, aliens and with the William Hurt from Aliens. And the chest burster scene?
I think so. Yeah, I think
John
the same people.
John Hurt, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's all sorts of different bits and pieces, as well as Mel Brooks parodying
Either way, he got hurt
himself.
at dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's badly hurt.
That the entire sequence with the space diner was amazing.
Yeah.
From every aspect, yeah. Like one of my favorite
Yeah.
parodies ever, and a great story that's not just about shotgun jokes.
No, it has its own, and it even has, all the elements of a proper story, character development, three stages in the arc, like arc 1, arc 2, arc 3, the proper climax, all of that.
Planet of the Apes as
character-
well, in the end.
Hmm?
Planet of the Apes is parodying as well at the end.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
You're right, it
Well,
has a
that-
proper story structure.
Yeah. And so many memorable lines from there.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
all
yeah.
assholes.
Eric Moranis is perfect. Like, Eric
He's
Moranis is having the time of his life being Darth Helmet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like everything.
Magnificent.
Great.
I
Bill
want to bring up...
Pullman as both Han Solo and Luke Skywalker merged into one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. John Candy as the dog character who was like the
The monk.
Wookiee.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just awesome.
Oh my God, I want to watch it again now. That's what the good parody should be. It makes you love the original that is being parodied and want to also watch the parody.
Because it's worthy in its own right as its own thing. Not the characters don't just exist as comedy versions of something else. They're their own thing. Which
it's got like jokes that work on multiple levels. Like the Tense mentioned the opening joke in that movie on Patreon, I think, where it's the super long ship going by the screen. It just takes forever for the ship to go by. If you've never seen Star Wars, that's still funny. But if you've
Exactly.
seen Star Wars and you remember the opening shot of the original Star Wars, it's very much like that. It's an exaggerated version of that.
And it's funnier than when you know.
That's funnier, yeah.
And also it has jokes that the first time I watched Spaceballs, I was a kid, so lots of the jokes flew over my head. But and then when you watch it again as an adult, you get more jokes within the joke, like the one with Mega Maid.
Right. All right.
I just don't want to say the line on air because it is a sex joke.
It's naughty.
Yeah. And it's got its silliness too. Like if the Force is the Schwartz, it's got like its too. But that's okay because if that was all it was, I don't think we'd be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got, we accidentally captured their stunt doubles.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's a very Blazing Saddles joke, that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The old fourth wall stuff. And you had quite a bit of that, yeah, like Yogurt with his merchandising stuff.
Yeah.
That's where the real money comes from.
Yeah.
I also like the last, the showdown between Darth Helmet and Lone Star. I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yes.
Which to me, like, is a very, like, that's almost a joke on that John Ritter film with the glow-in-the-dark penis fight. Don't you reckon, Bones?
It's similar.
Yeah, I think that is what that is going back to. Like,
It could be.
Maybe.
And I love that they accidentally kill one of the filming crew.
Yes.
While they are fighting.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah. and Helen goes, he did it.
The reactions are just beautiful. Yes, we should do a
and
Quackcast where we just watch the film.
Yeah, we should do that.
One, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, April 1st is coming. When is April 1st? Let's see.
Next Quackcast.
Is it next week? Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that as a, it's a joke day or whatever.
Oh my god, it's Saturday.
Oh my god, it is April 1st is a Tuesday. So we could...
Oh, when the Quackcast will come out.
We could watch Spaceballs for that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's our plan.
Where we can watch it. Hopefully there's somewhere we can all watch it. I don't know if I have...
We can find something, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll find something. I'd be up for that. I haven't seen it in that long.
I haven't seen it in decades.
Yeah.
And I could use a laugh these days. So...
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Sci-Fi Galaxy Quest is a very different kind of parody.
Oh my god, perfect, yes.
Yeah, like a Princess Bride type of parody.
Well, funnily enough, Galaxy Quest is something that all these TV series actors from sci-fi shows, they all love that show. This is something they all watch and they talk about it. It's from Star Trek to Farscape to whatever. These people just have it as one of their touchstone movies. They all kind of rally around. It's just amazing. So it's an industry favorite.
It was so good, and what I appreciated in Galaxy Quest is the jokes on Star Trek, because it's more Star Trek-y. In its parodying, but then it has the balls to be dramatic as well. While being a parody and having this amazing character arc for all of the actors.
Really good.
Playing the Star Trek people.
Yeah.
Sure. And I love Sigourney Weaver in this. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's her doing the role is amazing.
That's so amazing they got her to do it. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's my role and I'm gonna do it. Where she just repeats the orders.
Yeah, that's her job on the show.
Yeah.
Like even her role in the movie, like, coming from the badass kind of kick-ass character that she has created over the years in the Alien series, and doing that character, which is an obvious bimbo kind of character, and just like going full on into that role, which is a complete opposite.
I think she was playing more the Bajoran shrink character. She was a parody of that more than anything. I may be wrong.
What was that? Sorry?
In Galaxy Quest, Sigourney Weaver reminded me of that. I think she was a...
not Bajoran, but
not
Bajoran,
Betazoid.
Betazoid, that's it. You're right,
Betazoid. Yeah. I think that she parodies her.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be.
Or
just sort of the sexy sci-fi lady.
Yeah, the sexy one in the group. Yeah.
Yeah, like Uhura from the original Star Trek series and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Her job was definitely a parody version of Uhura. Hailing frequencies open, Captain. She didn't have a ton to do. That's what I took it as. Uhura didn't have a whole lot to do usually. And so,
no, that's probably a lot.
It's more a parody of herself, though, I would think.
Yeah,
that too. Yeah, for sure. That's what I love about the ones that are. It's not just one thing. It's sort of a more. It's a bigger kind of. I was going to say a broader parody, but that could be a bad thing in a way. It's not specifically copying specific lines or moments or movies. It's a bigger
So this is the opposite of the whole airplane style of parody. It's not the opposite; it's the other kind.
A lot of like scary movies, kind of they just repeat lines from Scream and moments from Scream, maybe exaggerate it slightly or include weed. It's like not that, like
it becomes its own thing.
It's its own thing, exactly. Yeah.
One of my favorite parody stories, because there's a lot of books people write in parody form. And one of my favorites is called Cold Comfort Farm. And this is a story that parodies Wuthering Heights and all those kind of serious English, British books about depressing life on English farms or country houses and all that kind of stuff in the country, and people who need to be married off and stuff like that. And it's instead of making jokes and doing it in an obvious way, she's set it in the writer has set the story in like a country like farm or whatever with a rural family. But this girl's going to stay with them, and she's wanting to drag them into the present day, pretty much. She's wanting to, because these people live in, they're stuck in the past, as they are in all these stories like Wuthering Heights and all that kind of stuff. They're prisoners of their own, neuroses and all this kind of stuff, but they're also prisoners of the past always in these stories. And so this girl makes a distinct effort not only to drag them into the present, but also to drag them into like the light of the rest of the world, like the broader world. Like, so yeah, sure, you're stuck on this little tiny farm, out in the middle of nowhere, but there's a whole world out there with all these different people in this culture. And so she's shining a light on these poor little cockroaches and letting them flourish. And that's a really, really like fun story. It's called Cold Comfort Farm. And there's a movie version of it too, which is really cool. It's got a lot of good stars in it. I think Rufus Sewell is in it. He's a fantastic actor. What was his name? Stephen Fry is in it. The woman who's in the Underworld series, she stars in it. I can't remember her name. I think Joanna Lumley might be in it as well. A lot of other fantastic actors. So I highly recommend Cold Comfort Farm as a movie, and also a book, which is a great thing to look at.
All right.
So yeah, Hot Shots I wanted to bring up as well, which was a great fun airplane style of parody. So that's like the shotgun jokes. So everything is made fun of.
I liked Hot Shots a lot more than Airplane, I think.
Same.
It has some Rambo parody in there, doesn't it, as well?
Rambo, I think there was these American films about fighter planes where they have to go and rescue someone or other. So that's also made fun of. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All those kind of like terrible late 80s, early 90s action films. It makes fun of them really, really well. And yeah, it's just, I think there's two of those films. So the second one sort of became its own thing. So rather than just being another, like, making fun of Rambo, it's sort of became its own world. Slightly. I mean, not completely. But yeah.
What are these movies called? I completely forget the title, where it is all with puppets, and it is very much not for kids. And
Team America, World Police.
I think that's the one where they basically they are lambasting America in general.
Right.
And Yeah.
Okay, so that was made by Trey and the South Park guys. I can't remember their names.
Okay.
Trey
Makes sense.
Parker and the other one.
Yeah. Matt Stone.
Matt Stone, that's it, Matt Stone.
That
Fantastic.
makes a lot of sense.
But that's very I know, it's very naughty in a lot of ways, isn't it? Which is their style.
Very, very, very.
And they use puppets so they can get away with stuff.
Yeah. And it has a lot of potty humor as well, you know. Bad toilets, vomit, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Extreme violence and real names of real actors, puppet versions, and real life figures.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this is maybe not as fun a fact as it should be, because I think because I don't remember the name of the movie, but apparently it's based on the story of this movie is based on a specific movie. They copied the story, but it's a movie that nobody's ever seen.
Really?
Little known movie about an actor who becomes a secret agent. It's literally like a similar story, allegedly.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah. Which is neat. It works as a story. You know? Like it's kind of a basic. It's pretty.
Team
silly.
America World Police is based on that. That's interesting.
You'll probably look it up and find out. I'll do it.
Well, it's a very good thing. Well, of course, we've got South Park, which is the series that Trey and Matt did, which often has, you know, elements of parody in it. And it's done extremely well. But yeah, it's very it has its own style, and it can be a bit more adult than a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on a movie called Megaforce.
Oh.
I don't know. I've never seen it, but I heard someone talking about it and saying that, you know, to parody a movie that no one's ever seen is ridiculous. And then it came out that they parodied this movie that nobody's ever seen.
That sounds familiar. I think I have seen that one.
Okay. By the way, you Google this and AI tells you it's not based on an existing movie. AI knows nothing. You got to listen to humans.
Yeah, AI is idiotic. All right, Megaforce, 1982. Yep. Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a crazy film. It's worth watching just because it's so insane. Well, I mean, that brings us, if we're talking about Megaforce, that brings us back to films that are so hyper that they are almost a parody of themselves. That sort of runs the, it's a bit close to the line because it's not actually self-aware, like, say, Roger Moore James Bond was. It just seems to be a parody of itself. It's just so crazy. But yeah, you do have films that are like almost, they could be confused as parodies because they're so weird. They're so hyper. Like, I don't know. There's not many examples of those that I can really bring to mind. So what are some more like modern parodies? I think The Other Guys is a good example of a modern parody that is its own thing. So that's not parodying anything directly. That's just doing a broad parody of the cop buddy movie genre, I think.
Yeah.
But subverting it. And that's a really good way that a lot of these parodies kind of go. Instead of like just doing the same story but making it funny, they subvert it in a clever way. So in The Other Guys, it's instead of focusing on the main buddy team like, Lethal Weapon, we focus on the stand-ins. So when the heroes die, these are the guys who take over.
Yeah.
And become the new buddy team. So that kind of thing is pretty cool. So subversion is another main part of, even like Princess Bride subverts the whole genre of, the fairy tale movie in a lot of ways by having the main guy kind of be friendly and talking, making friends with the guys he's trying to overcome.
Yeah. And subverting, it's kind of gotten, it's taken a hit, I think, in a lot of people's opinions in recent years, I think with good reason. Subverting can be done well, it can be done badly, like most things. If someone, like the sort of attitude of like creating a franchise movie or continuing a franchise, but like sort of dismissing it in the movie yourself, like you're mocking the genre or mocking the franchise that you're doing. I'm speaking too generally here, probably. But
no, that makes sense. I mean, that's
can annoy people.
when we mentioned, the way that Friday the 13th and Halloween and what was the other one? Nightmare on Elm Street. How they began to do self-parody. That was basically what you were saying. If they make fun of themselves, then suddenly no one takes them seriously, and that helped kill the genre.
Yeah, I don't know those series well enough to say if they fit into what I'm thinking. But there have been like Star Trek iterations, Star Wars iterations, and Marvel shows and movies that have sort of kind of deconstructed or criticized in a way their own history and the franchise, like the episodes that have come before them and the whole concept. But it strikes some audiences anyway as a nasty, like a swipe at this popular thing that you're doing a new chapter of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It can feel like an attack on the audience almost for liking it.
So I think the horror movies are a little different. They're trying to, like, Freddy got too funny, too jokey, maybe, or like things got like the deaths got so elaborate, or Michael Myers' backstory became so convoluted, and that's a little bit different. I think maybe Friday the 13th the same. They're like trying to do something different. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm wandering off here a little too much.
But I mean, the point is, parody can be really good, can be funny, can be like a really welcome thing. But if you do it wrongly, you can ruin a film or ruin a series. Pretty much.
Yeah, like
or self-awareness.
Yeah, like maybe sometimes it could be like posing as if you're self-aware, like, oh, I get this, and then you mock it, and then people who do get the genre can look at it and say, no, you don't get it. Like, I was getting at this earlier, like this is your own point of view on this, and you don't know what you're talking about. You're not parodying anything that actually is what the thing is.
Yes,
that's a good example. That's too vague, but yeah.
Well, it can be a bit cowardly too, because if you're saying, this is our thing, but wink wink, so it means you're not really committed to it. You're not really sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you don't give the audience what they expect, in the sense that they are not coming in to see a parody when they go for the straight up thing.
I guess that's what it is. This more applies to like installments within a property rather than a parody. This is a problem, right?
Yeah.
It's tricky. Okay, so let's sync up another example. Say the Deadpool movies. So the Deadpool movies are. So this is Marvel, massive industry that took over, the film industry at the moment. And they've made all these films. And then the Deadpool ones, are sort of, they're canon with the thing, but they're also parodying it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. He's a parody
No, I think
character.
They do it successfully. Sorry, Thomas.
They do.
yeah, but I think that the character of Deadpool, as far as I understand, because I haven't actually read any Deadpool comics, has this quality to him, like he breaks the fourth wall, he's very genre savvy, he satirizes everything. He part of his thing is to refuse to play things straight. So doing it that way is actually doing it, playing it for real, not parodying. Parodying it is the thing that they're supposed to be doing.
It
Because I recall,
is.
Yeah.
But it's
I
not
recall there was
serious like the rest of the stuff. It's not as serious as the
No,
rest of the things.
but it's not supposed to be like The Mask with Jim Carrey. The Mask in the comics, aside the fact that it is a lot more bloody and murderous, is that same approach. You know, the Loki trickster sort of guy that makes fun with everything, all the tropes and all of that. That is the character. That's the character. So you are supposed to be parodying this.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's just that, say, when you have other characters in there, like Wolverine, and there's Colossus, I think, and a few others who are in the serious films, and this is the slightly comedy take on these serious characters, and then you have a little bit of friction because they're meant to be totally serious in these films, and suddenly not so serious in these ones. So
yeah,
and it's all canon.
Not done right. It could definitely potentially not work at all. It could be a disaster. Yeah.
So it does tread very tricky path in a way.
Yeah,
but it works.
Yeah. Honestly, making a parody to me sounds a good parody. Sounds extremely difficult. I don't think I would be able to pull it off without going insane in the process. And even then, I don't know if it would be funny.
And there was also aspects of that with the Harley Quinn movies as well.
Yeah, I wonder if those are considered successes. I haven't seen any of them.
First one wasn't, and they redid that. But after that, they were.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think Suicide Squad, and then another Suicide Squad film, and Birds of Prey. I think that's three of them.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen all the way through the third one, which was the redo of the Suicide Squad, but it seemed to be pretty good. I've liked them all, so yeah, they're not bad. The few DC movies that are actually good.
I haven't.
We're almost out of time.
We are.
This has been the Suicide Squad, and I pretty much enjoyed it.
Yeah, the first one or the second version?
One, the James Gunn one.
Okay, well, the first one's not bad. It gets a poor reputation because people don't like the take on the Joker because people want to basically.
Oh my God! We have to bleep this out now because this is.
It's at the end. No one's listening.
You have to go there. That's awful.
The bloody Joker. They love the Joker so much they can't handle a weird version of it played by that crazy actor. All right, so this has been Quackcast number 732. Amazon Ocean. With me is Tance and Baines. Bye-bye.
First episode with an advisory warning. Bye-bye.
Yeah. we can't get away with just one F-bomb. So
that was a C-bomb. That's worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Bye, people.
Bye.
The network's going to cancel us on.